Hello, YouTubers. It's me again, Michael. I just can't seem to get away from this YouTube stuff, man. I tell you, I really like it. Uh, I just want to let y'all know. Last night I took off on my motorcycle, right? And I went down to Covington. I had to go to Walmart. Anyway, on my way back, I stopped off at the Waffle House, the good old Waffle House. Anyway, I was sitting around talking to people there, and the next thing you know, uh, some people coming down, and I started talking to them. And this woman, I don't know why we got on this here, okay, but her and her mama had went out, and I don't know. I asked him. I said, "Hey, I said, what y'all not cooking tonight?" Well, anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up telling her, that basically I was single and not married and all that, and she asked me why. She said, "Why are you single? Why haven't you ever married?" Okay. I told her. I told her why I was single. Okay. I told her it was because of feminism. Right. I didn't really realize what it was until I went to looking. Actually, I've been searching for a long time. My brothers and sisters and I didn't have a father tell me that. So I mean, I had to try to figure these things out on my own. So I mean, you guys out there, man, y'all if y'all had a family, y'all lucky. Y'all pretty lucky. But with me, like I said, I had to figure all these things out. I run into a book called MTGOW. Okay, that's men going their own way, right? And actually, I got the books right here. Okay, I am not endorsing. Okay, these people. Okay, I am not trying to sell their books. Okay, I just know if I get this thing focused in just right, I just know that my my well-being. When I read these books right here, it taught me everything I needed to know. When I think about my past and how things was messed up and all that. But anyway, I was telling them also, about that women, how they wanted equal rights and things of that nature. Okay, I went on into that. I said, well, I said, do you believe that a man and woman should be equal? Yeah, and they said, yeah. Well, I said, I said, I said I contacted. I believe it's Selective Service. Can I ask him how come it is that they don't follow their own rules? Yes, I said, yeah. I said, y'all don't follow your own rules. Um, the I told him, I says, I said, when men turn 18 years of age, they have to sign up for selective service, right? Otherwise, they could possibly end up going to the pen, okay, and losing their right to vote forever, okay. Um, so I told them, I says, I said, the feminism movement wanted the women to get out and be able to get these jobs, so the women were complaining that the men had all the jobs up. So then what is that? The gender inequality thing, or the men and the women. Okay, uh, that was being discriminated against. So they ended that. Okay, so anyway, when they ended the discrimination against men and women per what job they were going after, okay, it retroactively uh, changed the law about the conscription back for the military and stuff like that. So I was asking them, I said, now I said, women have to sign up for selective service at 18, just like a man does. Okay. Uh, you know, but most of the women, they don't believe in equality. Okay. But yet they think that they deserve the right to vote. See, it was us men who gave women the right to vote. Okay, because they were complaining, they were arguing, they were fussing. We just like we always do, guys. Okay, we give in to it. Say, hey, there you go. You got the right to vote now. Knock yourself out. Do what you got to do. Anyway, anyway, okay. I'm losing my train of thought here. All right, the women now have to go and sign up at 18. Okay, when they they should be doing that. Okay, but they haven't actually started it yet. I contacted Selective Service about that. Okay, but now you see the women aren't going to go over there. They're not going to want to go over there and fight in some war. Okay, but it's kind of like this right now. Okay, women do have the right to vote. Okay, and this is where the equality part of this thing is going to come in, and maybe you guys understand this. All right, if Donald Trump say he's talking about us going over there fighting the cartel and all that's on their own ground so that we can protect our country from all the drugs and everything come from over there. Okay, let's say let's say, for instance, that Donald Trump couldn't decide. Okay, let's just say that he could. Okay, fine. Let me see what the American people want to do. So he took the vote machines, he put the vote machines out there, right? And now the American people get to vote whether or not we're going to go there and fight the cartel or not, and keep those drugs from coming in our country. Okay, messing up our families, messing up our children, that kind of stuff, right? Do you realize, okay, that 50% of the people who are going to vote for send men over there to fight that cartel over there on their own ground are women, and they'll get a chance to sit at home under the air conditioning while you go out there and die for the freedom in which they so lovingly sleep under that flag every night, but yet they have no skin in the game. All right, so the women are not going to want to go and fight in these wars, even though, okay, the hindsight of women or the narrow-mindedness of women, I can't really put my finger on it, but it's like they'll push for an issue, but they don't really look and see where that goes back over here. They only look, they got these little blinders on, while they just look straight ahead. They can only see what's ahead of them. Okay, they can't see what their actions is doing elsewhere. So they have basically put themselves in a position where now they have to go to war. So what's going to end up happening if a war is coming, whatever, all these women out there, guys, they're going to try to get pregnant. Okay, so you better watch it. Okay, they're probably gonna marry because they can get divorced afterwards. Okay, they're gonna do whatever they do to get out of going to war. Okay, um, that's what they'll do. Now, me, despite all that, when they read the law, when they do the laws about this thing about women going in the military, okay, um, they ought to do some kind of thing, like saying, that you have to sign up at 18, uh, and if a war does come and you do end up pregnant, okay, well then, there ought to be some kind of rule stipulations on that, okay? But, it's quite easy, if women don't want to go and fight in the wars, hey, that's fine with me. It should be fine with you, okay? Just give up your right to vote, okay? And so women should not be allowed to vote, okay? I bought this shirt offline, okay? I believe in it, okay? Um, Now, getting back to the Waffle House thing, okay? I also told that woman, the other reason why, that I'm not married, I said, because I've watched all the women, okay? And, women's body counts are high, okay? And women are just flat out scared of men. Or at least, maybe it's just my little my little ugly face. I'm not very like to be called handsome, but who says, what? It's up to the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And right now, nobody's beholding me. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I believe that women, there's nowhere to meet them really. You can't. Most people say, go meet you a good woman in church. Well, you very well can't do that because the women that's doing like OnlyFans, when they straighten up, they decide they want to go find a good man, they're going to go sit in a church pew somewhere or another, and some guy's going to walk up to her, hey, how are you doing? Because she's all pretty and she's in church. She couldn't have done anything like that. So if you go to date anybody in church, you better ask if they were ever on OnlyFans. Okay, but you know, women have all that student loan debt. Okay, and that was due to the fact that what they wanted. Well, as a man, just me myself. Okay, I don't want to marry some woman who got out, tried to shoot up for her independence and all these kind of things, and rolled up, say, $100,000 in student loan debt, okay, and then have to turn around there and me marry her, and then me have to help her pay off her debt that she created. I had no say so in her creating the debt, so I don't want to have any say so in trying to pay it off. But here's the thing. They'll tell you that her student loan debt doesn't transpose over to you, but when you marry her, 50% of your salary is now hers. technically. So they can go after you for your half, her half of your salary. So yeah, in a way, you will be paying it. So you got to find out all these things before you turn around and ask some woman to marry you, because I mean they will hook you into. They will trick you. They will not tell you that they have all this debt. You know, and you know, there's that. And it's just you know, um, women are always going to marry about money. I got this stuff wrote down right here. Kind of give me a keep my thought process going. Um, when I go online, I'm on some dating apps. When I go on there, I'll talk to a woman, okay, and just like yesterday, this old gal talking to me. She's saying all the right things, but some of it's kind of off the wall. But anyway, she says her mom is in the hospital, okay, and she wanted to know if I'd help her out, help her out with her bill, something like that. No, I said bye. I said that's it. I'm done. Okay. You know, so it doesn't really take much from me. I will walk away from a woman in a minute. I'll give her a chance. Okay, just like you should. Okay, but when it comes down to it, the women on YouTube, just down there, probably TikTok and elsewhere, they will sit back and talk about men, asking them, "What do you bring to the table?" And the woman will say that she is the table. Okay, or she brings herself to the table. She brings all of this to the table. Right, but that's not really what us guys mean. Okay, what I want a woman to bring to the table is something that she can also risk losing in a divorce. Because a man, everything he got is at risk in a divorce, right? But now, women want equality. Okay, now I own my own place. I'm already retired, so I got money coming in. We're not going to talk about how much, but if women want equality, okay, they have to meet me at or about the same amount of my situation. Okay, they have to have a place of their own. Okay, they got to have a retirement thing set up. Okay, they have to have all this. They can't have all this debt and all that kind of thing. They can't be trying to live off my money I put up, because that was for me. That wasn't for them. Okay, I didn't plan on taking on a family. So that being the case, if someone wants to go with me, okay, well then I have to factor that in. We have to tighten the belt a little bit, and we'll figure it out. But it is not for the man to turn around there and go out and provide for the woman. Sure, women sit back and tell you, well, men are supposed to be providers and all that kind of thing. Yeah, we are. We are. But that was before, that kind of like the woman's thinking doesn't change. Okay. That was before women started getting out and getting their own jobs and things of that nature. Men would go out, we provide, we get the money, we bring it home. The wife would buy the diapers, she do this, buy the dishwashing soap, groceries and stuff like that, stuff to clean the house with. Okay. All that junk. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but now that the women are working and the men are working, well, then, men are no longer providers, because women are providing for themselves, right? The only thing that a man has to offer basically is protection, okay? If somebody comes walking in the house at 3 o'clock in the morning, honey, get up, somebody's in the house. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But anyway, them old women that I was talking to at the Waffle House, you could tell that they were getting upset. Okay, I mean, now I feel sorry for them, because women create these situations. And I was talking to somebody yesterday, uh, Robin, I believe it was. I was talking to her, and she stopped talking because she has two jobs. She was working, and the thing about that is that she said something and I allowed time to go by. You give me mind thinking, and this is basically what it was. I was going to ask her out on a date. I thought I'd take her to Cracker Barrel. Well, later on, she said, "Oh, no, 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 I'd rather go to Olive Garden." I said, "Okay, fine. Maybe we'll even go get us a movie." Well, when I got home, I started thinking about it. I hadn't heard nothing from her. Okay, I got to thinking about it, and I Googled it. It runs about $60 a meal at Olive Garden. That means I was going to end up paying $120 over that Olive Garden for me and her to eat. Okay, well, okay, fine. But I don't need a woman that's gonna live hound the hog like that, especially off my dime. Okay, I would just as soon have a woman turn around and tell me that, if I was gonna take her to Waffle House, or I was gonna take her to Cracker Barrel or anywhere else. She said, "Look, things are a little bit expensive right now. Let's just go get us some coffee, whatever. I don't really want nothing to eat now, no how. Okay, and then we'll talk about something else later, about getting something to eat later on. I said, okay, fine. But you see, that's the woman right there who wants to show that she knows how to save a dollar, because right off of the bat in the date, she's already trying to save you money. Okay, if she's not doing that in the beginning of the date and all that kind of stuff, save you cash, well then she obviously is the type of woman that you probably should be going with. But I can tell you, women can pull more men on a date than a man can. If a woman wanted to, she can get up in the morning and she can go out somewhere or other and she can look at guys and say, okay, I'm gonna sleep with that dude right there tonight. You as the guy very well can't do that. Okay, for every woman, she sits there, she's just got more marketable assets than what you have. Okay, and so she'll just have a better chance at it. So it's just harder for a man to get a woman than it is for a woman to get a guy. But the kind of guy she's going to get may not be the kind of guy that she wants. And I believe that's what's going on with a large majority of women in their dating aspect of that now. Um, and I told her, I told them women, I said, I said, I hope I'm not upsetting you. I said, usually when women talk to me, they kind of wish they hadn't have talked to me. They wish that they had just went on about their business and never asked me anything, because now I have a tendency to just lay the law down to them, right? Anyway, I told him, I said, as far as marriage goes, I said, if a man gets married, he gives up all his rights to the woman, okay, at that point. And if he has a kid with her, okay, now he's in double jeopardy, okay, because she can divorce him whenever she gets ready, okay. He's taking for the house, kids, both of the cars, alimony, child support, and them kind of things, okay. Um, it's the it's too easy. It's too easy to get the divorce, right? Um, the what it's called, non-contested divorce. I'm hoping to do away with it. I've heard talk about that today. Okay, I told you in the other video that I made. That woman said something about keeping women enslaved. Yep, I say yeah, we should keep them enslaved. Okay, if a woman's gonna be in that position, okay, she's gonna be a wife. Okay, she needs to be put to the not the test, but she need to be pushed to the point where, like, if I'm marrying this man, I'm going to be with him for the rest of my life. He may not let me go or whatever. Okay, it's just what I want to do, and then she'll stop and think twice about it before she signs on the dotted line. Okay, quite frankly, I just assume that they're all done that. But that's not necessarily the case. You know. But I've been watching all these videos and all these kind of things on YouTube. Okay, and I like to I would love to hear back from folks. But I don't even know if my videos are even being seen by anybody. But the thing about it is, since I don't have a wife, kids, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, one could say that this is my legacy right here. I'm leaving you all this on there. Who knows? One of these days I might even make a video on my entire life, on how it started, how it ended, and all that kind of stuff, so that I would like for other people to learn, not necessarily from my mistakes, but the mistakes that are in my life. Okay, some things I just can't do. You know, so I wish each and everybody out there, a lovely day. Okay, and hope that everything's going good in your marriages, and if you have them, and you need to sit down and have a talk with your wife, stuff like that. Let her know what you're thinking all the time, and her. But you know, prenuptial agreements and things of that nature get thrown out to courts all the time. So, I wouldn't recommend a guy go and get one of those. But I tell you what, I would recommend. Okay, I've actually thought about this myself. If the judges are throwing out prenuptial agreements because the woman may be under duress and all these kind of things, right? Well, then the thing to do is, if before you marry her, take her to court and have the daggum and prenuptial agreement made in front of the judge, and then this way he can't overturn it because he was the one created it in the past. And if the prenuptial agreement is made in front of a judge, it is up to that judge to determine whether or not she's under duress at the time that the prenuptial agreement is made. If the woman turns around and says, no, I'm not doing that, well then the ulterior motive has to be that she's trying to get all your stuff. Now, that would be my recommendation to you, right? Uh, but my thing is also this, right? Um, the birth rate in the country is going down. They got less children being born by people now than there were, so Social Security is going to disappear. It's just not going to be there when people need it. And the funny thing about it is, the very women today that are not having babies because they believe in feminism or whatever, whatever reason is, okay, that the men are running away from them, okay, well then they're the very ones that will not get Social Security because they never had the kids to pay it in. Now, if you have two girls, say, okay, you had two girls, and each of them two girls had some boys, whatever, okay, every 10 years, right? Every 10 years. So if you're going to live to be 80, okay, every 10 years or so, there's a child being born, or, whatever. Every 20 years, there's a child being born. So then eventually you'll have the two that you had, the boy and the girl, whatever you had, they have kids. And then they have kids. All these kids are coming from the two kids you had. So if you don't ever have them two kids, you can't never have the kids coming up. It's exponential. Right? And then that starts feeding into the system. Okay. And then the system continues to grow. But that's not what's going on today. So anyway, my recommendation now would be start saving your money. Okay. Tell your old lady, hey, we're going to start saving money. Okay. I understand this here. If she divorces you, she's going to take half. So have that conversation with her. Tell her, say, hey, we got to save twice the money that we think we're going to make just in case you decide to divorce me and take 50% of it. Okay. But women create something. You know it, and I know it, guys. Listen up. The women will start something, okay, and it's like if I could come up with something right now, I would. But they'll say a little something, okay, um, and you'll get mad. They'll get mad at you. You'll say something, they'll get mad at you, okay, and then the next thing you know, they throw something else in with it. It goes from one thing to the other thing to the other thing. By the time you get it straightened out, she has already got you in the doghouse. She's mad, okay, and all of a sudden, boop, she realizes that, you know what, I've made a mistake, and he just showed me, but she's still freaking pissed off, right? All the other things that she said is still there. Okay, so men, I want a nice, clean house. I want it quiet. Okay, I want to play my video games. Okay, I want to clean my floors all by myself. Okay, that's what I'm doing here now. I do all this stuff. I do everything by myself. Oh, I don't know why women complain. Okay, it's too much work. It's too much work. I do it all. I cut my own grass. I bush hog my own field. I trim my own bushes. I trim my own trees. I spray my own garden spray. I cut my own grass. I clean my floor. Okay, I clean my dishes. Okay, I wash my own daggone clothes. I even do my own electrical. I do my own plumbing. I do my own carpenter work. Okay. Hey, except for one thing, since I'm 64, I don't want to have no kids. What can a woman do for me? Okay. If there's a woman out there who's watching this, as you ever see this, okay, I want to hear what you have to say about what it was I just asked. Okay. I want to know, what do you have to offer me other than discontent, hate, ugliness, constant fear that you're going to divorce me and take everything I have. Because the minute that we marry, that's going to be on my mind every day. Okay? I can never have peace as long as I'm married. Guys, I don't know what you're going to do. I really don't. Okay? But if you ever divorce, if you're ever lucky enough to get out of one, I won't go back into one. Okay? I just wouldn't do it. But anyway, if y'all like my video, please hit the like and subscribe or whatever. If this is one, I love hearing from people. Call me stupid if you want to. I don't really care. I just want to know if anything that I'm saying hitting home with you. I've been single. I seem like I've always been like uh, you know what they say, a magnet's opposite attract. Well, it's like the marriage turn around. We're always pushing away from each other, right? I mean, I'll start talking to a woman, and then eventually, uh, my mind, see, uh, will start talking about that with Robin. She wanted to go. I said, well, it's all about money and everything, isn't it? Well, the women have to understand that they have to go after the women who are setting us guys up to be the way that we are. And by not going after them women, you are part of the problem. If you don't go against them and fight against them, you're going with them. You're teamed up with them. Okay. So now you have to suffer for what they have done to the guys because the guys are going to protect themselves. I've been called insecure. Okay. I said, Michael, you're insecure. You're insecure. You're insecure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm insecure. A man's definition of insecurity and what a woman sees it as insecurity, okay? Uh, the woman's the woman's idea of insecurity is the man's idea of protection, right? I am insecure about what a woman will do to me, and also as it doesn't open up for her to have to actually do it to me in order for me to learn that lesson, right? The women want to play these little games, okay, to where you as a man will be shamed, so you'll marry a woman, so she will take you for everything you got, rather than be smart enough right off the bat and just walk away from it all to start with, okay? Quite frankly, me, I'm done with the state. If some old gal walk up here tomorrow, tell me she wants to marry me, that's fine. That's fine. We'll talk, we'll court, we'll do whatever. But this is what I plan on doing. Okay. I'm gonna do it like they done it about 500-600 years ago. I'm gonna walk out down that front yard. I may walk out and get a batch of people together this and confess my love to that woman right there and saying that I'm gonna stay with her for the rest of my life. Okay. Now, this is what that's gonna do. Now, if the man was the one that was doing all the providing, okay, he'd had all the money, okay, and everything like that, right? So the woman would then say, okay, I do. But the thing about that is he's building wealth the whole time they're together, right? That's the whole time we're together, I'd be building up things. So if she walked away, there's no state, nothing, paperwork, or nothing that says that we were actually ever married, so she don't get anything. So you see, it would work in the man's best interest to go and get married under the covenant of God and what God has set up, okay, rather than run into a marriage and having to sign on the dotted line and signing your life away, okay. Now, there's a lot to be said about that, but also against it. I mean, you as a man, you can't be going back against that. I mean, that's like a covenant. That's like God putting the rainbow in the air as as a sign that he would never flood the earth with water no more. Sure, we still have flood, but he don't cover the whole earth and wipe everybody out. He could have wanted to, but he put that rainbow in it, and that's the same idea. So you as a man, if you done it that way, you and the woman have to understand the ramifications behind it. For the man's idea is to prevent the woman from screwing him over, and so he'll have a restful night in his own house because he don't have to go to sleep every night wondering if she's going to walk off on him the next day, right? And take everything he's worked for, pretty much, even the house, okay? I mean, how in the heck can a person make it today and go out and purchase another house? I just can't see it. I don't see where the money's going to come from. But anyway, that's about it, y'all. Y'all have a blessed day, and God bless all of you. Okay. Don't let things get you down like this. Me, I have found comfort in the fact that I can come on here and make these videos, and knowing that somebody out there may find it and it might benefit them. Okay. I mean, and besides, it gives me a way of venting because guys, I mean, they're around hanging out around for beer and stuff like that, but guys don't come over here and visit me, and women aren't going to come over here because being single and all that. I just don't know what goes on with the rest of the female population or what they do on the weekends. I really don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to mind my own business. Okay, I got my little house right here. Okay, and I'm going to play my little video games and get up and drink my sweet tea. That's what I'm going to do. And y'all have a blessed day.